So let's continue on. So if you've been following through, we've done a lot in the previous video. We've changed processes, we've migrated processes, we've changed the password, we've done some phishing attacks, we've dumped the credentials. Let's go look at some other things that we can go away and do. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to migrate again back into the explorer.exe only because we're targeting the specific Vagrant user. So if I'm in the authority system, I'm not currently logged in. So anything that we kind of do when we do screenshots or idle time, it's not going to really reflect. So let me migrate our process into this Explorer 4812 process. And let's continue our activities. So 4812. So now we're going to be living in this explorer.exe process. And we can start doing a few things. We can look at the network information based on what we know about this account. So let's go look at a couple of things. Let's look at idle time. So how long has this system been idled for? Because we want to know if the user's either at their machines or if they're not at their machines. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into the user and I'm just going to spawn up a Firefox browser and I'm just going to go to YouTube and just hit play on something random. And let's do it again, idle time. And there we go. So the time has changed. Now you can see it was idle for 5 minutes. Now you probably know that a user is now at that machine. So it's quite handy if we may need to do any further physical stuff on that component or that remote host if we are on site physically to the network or to the office. And then using the idle time, we can then engage if this system is engaged or doing some activity or not. So then we can go away and plan on our post-exploitation activity further. So that's the first thing. So idle time is really, really handy and a really cool function to use. Again, we can do network information. So we can look at its IP config. So we can look at things, obviously it's networking information, which networks it may be assigned to. Let's do RTAC, TAC A, and other potential network environments or network connections that this machine is potentially assigned to. So if we do a quick netstat, we should be able to also see our, and we can also do a netstat down here with our reverse 443 port. We can look at the associated connections that we're in. So let's just go down here as well and do a quick netstat. And I know it's a little bit pushed in here, but let's expand this one out as well. Let me just rerun that. Stats. There we go. So you can kind of start to see that we've got the session into this host. That's our 444 connection, which is going over SMB. And then we've got our, let's see, where is our, there we go. There's our 443 connection. So you can start to now see that we can then perform different types of network running commands, right? So, which is really cool. Let's do our get UID. So it's saying, hey, you are now as Vagrant as the user account that we've logged in, which is cool. We've performed our migration. So we already talked about migrating into different processes. So we end up living in that process itself, which is really cool. And then as that process continues to run, well, we're sort of living in that process, which is really cool. So we can then perform additional types of attacks if we need to. We can also use search functions, which are really, really handy. And this is times when if you're performing an engagement and you've obviously gone through the rules of engagement and you kind of stipulated what you're going to do if you get post activity exploitation type of activity, right? You can go in and do searching. Maybe we want to search for PDFs or doc files or anything that could be sensitive. We can use Meterpreter to go away and then use the search function. So let's go away and do that. So I'm going to use the search TAC F, and then we want to search for, let's maybe look for PNG, anything that's a photo image of a PNG extension. And I'll give that a minute because maybe it's just going to spend some time now. I'm going to go look through the directories and going to look for anything that's labeled with these wildcard maskers, anything.png. So I'll give that a few minutes and it's pulled that out. So it's gone, hey, look, I found all these accounts in these, different directories here. We've got www directories, WordPress, and we can go away and then potentially download all these files as well. So depending on what our engagement style is going to be, on how we're going to handle that sensitive information disclosure as well, if it's sensitive information that we're going to be viewing. Now, some customers, if you're going to be performing any post-exploitation activity, depending again on the engagement, because some customers will say, yes, go away and perform it. We don't care, just tell us if something is critical. Other ones don't want you to go do any post-exploitation activities. So some of it may just be, hey, once we get a Meterpreter session, just go away and see if you can search something, take a screenshot of that, you can actually view the file, not actually access it. And there's very specific and really rigid rules on how we're going to perform our activities. So just being mindful about all this in both, anytime you're doing production level testing and you've got the right details, that you've gone away and you've signed proper disclosures, rules of engagements, etc. And you're not doing this in an unauthorized fashion. So again, for educational purposes as well. So I'm not condoning any type of malicious activity here. So that's one way. So we can go away and use the different search criteria. We can use different functions. We can look at text files, PDF files, .doc, .docx, different types of activities. And we're going to look at keywords as well. And then obviously use specific directories as well to go into it. So we can go search, and then let's go search a specific directory. So we can go into the C : whack whack. We can go to the master directory itself. Now, obviously, it might take some time here, whatever that may be, right? And then we can add further functions and testing for specific, parameters, and say, hey, look for anything in a .pdf format. So I'm just going to launch that. Now it's going to go into the C drive and go, I'm going to go look for anything that has .pdf, and here we found a couple. So then we can download them into our file, investigate further if we need to do. And the other cool thing that we can do is something called a screenshot, if you've heard of a screenshot. Now it's going to open up a couple of screenshots here, and it's going to save this one to our session. So I'm going to open up a file explorer here, and let's just go to this location. So I should save it right here. So if this is the one, that's SDPT. There we go. So that was the YouTube session that I was running before. So you can kind of see now if the user is doing anything, if they may be working on something that's sensitive, we can take a screenshot of that activity, and then we can go away and then maybe, put this into our report, redact some information if we need to. Obviously, we're communicating to our stakeholders at all times. I encourage that very highly, because we should be engaging on all our activities and letting the customers know at all times of the activities that we're performing or we're about to perform as well. So just being mindful of all that as well. So that's the other thing that we can go away and do. Now, there's other things as well. We can also do key dumps if we're doing key logging attempts to capture those credentials of the users. So anytime they're going to go away and do the keystroke injections, we want to capture those as well if that's going to be in the engagement. So let's do that. So we're already on this. Let's do get. Okay, cool. So we're still in that level process of the system. Let's launch Keyscan start. So I want to launch our Keyscan sniffer. And what I'm going to do is on the remote host, I'm just going to open up a couple of things. So we're just going to generate some activity here. And I want to see if it's going to capture any of these keystrokes. That's the whole point, because we want to capture if they're writing an email, maybe they're sending some documents over to a profile, or maybe they're doing some activity, maybe they're logging into a banking platform, and that could be sensitive because maybe we don't want users logging into sensitive information across their sessions, or whatever that is, right? So we want to now capture and dump out those credentials. So I've just started entering a few things into Notepad here. I'm just going to save it, and then let's see if we've successfully got our dumps. So let me just enter this out, save that, and let's just do a Keyscan dump. And there we go. It's captured those sessions. So it's captured me opening note, sending, profile, shift, and this is just me entering a bunch of stuff, right? And then you can see bank, shift. So it's basically capturing every single bit of our key logging, right? So it's anything that I touch on the keyboard, the shift key, the space key, the space, enter key, any part of the keyboard, it's actually going away and doing that. So that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. Now, from this point on, we can go in and look at more things to do. Again, we can do a whole bunch of series around Meterpreter and it's all its glory. And I think we kind of understand the formality now that there's a boatload of things that we can do, right? We can launch command prompts, we can do execution of files, we can execute calculator as well. So if I just go in here and go execute, and then we're going to execute a function, and that function is going to be calculator.exe. Let's see if it comes up. And then if I can do a screenshot, let me just see if it's come up, and then it has. So screenshot. If I go back to our Explorer here, and this one, RY, it's the one. There we go. Our calculator has now spawned up as well. And there's the notepad behind that where I was going away and entering the data as well. So you can now see how amazing our post-exploitation activities can be. And there's obviously a boatload more of different functions and features within interpreter that we can go away and do. So we may create a whole masterclass on this if you want me to keep doing this. So just please let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to do more things inside interpreter. We can go away and do this. We can look at things as well, more of around the time stomping activities. And I thought maybe let's not showcase time stomping for a couple of reasons. Um, time stomping is quite important well, it's kind of bi-directional, right? It can be important if we're going to go in to do things, because if we're going to go around and change attributes of files, like the modified access and changed items of a specific file, we want to cover our tracks. Now, if we go away and do that, and the tracks become totally out of whack, because that's what time stomping will do. In case the file may be created in 2012, it will go away and create the file in 2064. And if someone's going away and doing investigation on that file, there's a bit of a mismatch process there, because it tells me that if the file was now manipulated to a 2064 timestamp, something's not right. So we may create a whole series on time stomping and get systems and that side of things. But I think I've covered the basis and the foundational level of Meterpreter. If there's more things that you'd like to see inside Meterpreter, we'll go away and we'll create these videos. Just please let me know if you'd like to see more information. I hope you really enjoyed this session. We got to be really interactive, and we've done a lot of things through Meterpreter, as you can see. So it's a great tool set for us to continue our post-exploitation journey. As always, I just want to say thank you for watching. I'd love to hear any comments that you have. And as always, I'd love to see you in an upcoming video. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.